add that to the list of things I never thought I would ever see referenced in an anime. Scatman. They actually played Scatman in an anime episode. And not only that, but it's like a key plot point of the main character. And it actually works. Like, it actually makes full sense. It was just crazy. My gosh. But yes, Wandance is next up for our first impressions of the fall 2025 anime season. The show that most people watching this are probably like, what? What's a Wandance? A show that's unfortunately stuck on Hulu, and thus nobody will watch it. But yes, it features Sung Jin Woo of Soul Leveling joining a dance club, of all things. But yes, I've watched the first 2 episodes of it, and yeah, probably besides that rough CGI that I think most people have seen at this point, it's been an okay show so far, but let's get into my first impressions of it. The series opens up with not Sung Jin Woo, that was a joke. It opens up with a guy named Cabo, and Cabo's starting his new life at a new school along with his 2 friends. It seems immediately they're deciding on what kind of club they're going to join, and it's just assumed they're going to all join basketball together. See, Cabo's the type of person that just goes with the flow. In his mind, it's better not to stand out from the crowd because you might just embarrass yourself. It seems to be stemmed quite a bit from this whole incident that happened during junior high. They had this compulsory dance class, and yeah, the teacher even filmed it, and everybody watched the film afterwards, and he thought that he danced horribly and that everybody was laughing at him, and it just kind of messed with him a bit. We also find out that Cabo has a problem with stuttering. Every time he talks to somebody, he stutters quite a bit, and they all kind of assume that it's because he's nervous or anxious or something, but it's just something that is what he deals with. We even see that regularly when he's at home, he does little lessons to kind of help himself get over his stutter. Well, as they're talking about what kind of clubs they're going to join and whatnot, he ends up spotting a girl named Wanda, and Wanda's looking at a flyer for a dance club. It kind of piques his interest a little bit, but again, this is a guy that wants to stay with the flow. Well, at some point, he ends up spotting Wanda as she's practicing off the side with her dancing, and he's kind of captivated by it. She's really good at it. And since so happens Wanda ends up being his neighbor in one of his classes, he decides to talk with her a little bit about what she likes about dancing. And it seems to her something that's great because she can express herself without actually having to talk, which yes, that kind of gravitates to Cabo. Well, after a little bit of a fallout with his friends and the fact that they were posting a video of Wanda in their little group chat and making fun of her, he kind of stands up to them, expresses the idea of how difficult it is to stay normal, how he's focusing too much on trying not to be cringy or whatever, and he runs off to go find Wanda, where he pretty much expresses to her his desire to dance. And even though he performs a little bit in front of her, she doesn't laugh at him, but instead expresses that if it's something that he wants to do, then he's going to improve on it. And so the 2 of them go join dance together. Now this is a little weird because yes, of course, when he first joins the club, there's nothing but girls there. The entire place is filled with girls. They do find out later on there's apparently another guy, and he's a second year, but apparently he barely ever comes to practice. During his time in the club, he runs into a lot of problems, such as the fact that, 1, he feels like he stands out as the only man there. He has a little bit of difficulty in picking up the rhythm itself. He feels down the fact that everybody else looks like they're doing a good job of it, but he himself is just not doing well. Well, after some one-on-one lessons with Wanda and his own private lessons at home, it does seem like over time he kind of picks up on something. Taking the advice that he got from the club president and his own experience in playing basketball, he kind of melds the 2 of them together, sort of going with the rhythm based on him bouncing a basketball. And while he does express this to Wanda as being sort of something that probably might not be seen as dancing, in her perspective, this seems like his own unique style that he could actually improve on, and it could be something that nobody else can copy. His own unique dance style. And that's pretty much the gist of Wandance so far. A guy with a massive stuttering problem trying to find his own voice through his dance routine. So my thoughts on Wandance. The show so far is okay. It is okay so far. I think the premise of Cabo's character is pretty solid. Again, this is a guy that is all about not standing out from the crowd. He's a guy that has difficulty standing out from the crowd because of his stutter. It makes him kind of stand out more. We see several segments where he ends up talking to different people and he's constantly stuttering and they constantly think that he's nervous, but then he has to reassure them, no, I'm not nervous. That's just how I am. It's just something he's always dealt with. As we see when he's at home, he has a bookshelf full of practices and whatnot to get over stuttering. He even has again on YouTube, he has Scatman video on there with basically a bunch of people, which was a story that I don't think I was familiar with. I've heard the Scatman song. I just didn't know the story behind it and the idea that everybody apparently in the video and the guy himself, the vocalist, all have some sort of stutter. And the concept, the story behind it is the ability to become a singer despite having that aspect. And Cabo's the same way. He's wanting to find some way of expressing himself where he doesn't have to worry about that stutter, that thing's holding him back in his ability to communicate. And then sure enough, when he finds Wanda, and Wanda says, I have a way of expressing myself, which I think she did on purpose. I think she knew that he has like this stutter and that he's of course going to have some sort of complex around it. And she's like, I'll tell him that it's a way of talking without talking, and then he'll join my club. I want to get him hooked in. This girl knows what she's doing. But yeah, it's him finding some way of standing out. And I also do like the idea of that sort of playing into his life as a basketball player too. And the idea we do see him actually play basketball, but even there, he's sort of a good player because he passes very quickly. A lot of people do find some players being much more sought after in a basketball team because they have the ability to pass. They don't hold all the glory to themselves. They're not a ball hog. Cabo is that person because every time he has the ball, he wants to pass it as quickly as possible because he doesn't want people looking at him because he has the ball, which I would argue this doesn't usually work that way because they should be looking at the other players that could be passed to. Why are you looking at the person with the ball? But that was his whole thing. I got to pass the ball to get out of my hands because people are looking at me. So even when he's playing basketball, he's not comfortable. He just did basketball because that's what he did to look normal. To be around these two guys that I'm always hanging out with, they said to do this, I'm doing this. Don't stand out. So there's a lot of emphasis on him as a person and standing out and all this stuff that I think is going to be like a main focal point to a lot of the story going forward. We're sort of seeing that he's accepting dance as a way to express himself. He has found his groove already. He's feeling it out. He's applying his knowledge in basketball to find that beat, to be able to hear it. You even have the club president saying he's very perceptive. He can hear that beat. He's grabbing onto it really well now. He's figuring it out. He's figuring out the groove of the music itself. The last final step is obviously going to be, can he stand in front of a bunch of people? Now, Wanda, knowing that Cabo is comfortable with her, he's able to speak a lot better now. He's able to dance in front of her. She knows full well that if he just focuses on her, he's going to be able to dance properly. They're able to do it in their one-on-one practices all the time. So just focus on me. The next step is going to be, if he gets on that stage, doing his freestyle, can he manage to focus solely on Wanda, or is he going to fall apart? Is he going to have flashbacks that day back in junior high when they were all dancing together and he thought that he looked like a dork and he thought everybody was laughing at only him? I think in the end it's going to be a thing where everybody was laughing at everybody, but he kind of stands out. Yes, Cabo's a tall dude. Cabo's a tall dude. I do love this because it almost feels like we're coming off of Fragrant Flower Blooms where you had a really tall dude there and a really short petite girl there. Here you have a really tall dude. Wanda's not like super small petite, but she's kind of small and cute. But it kind of has that same feeling there. It does make sense that he would feel that people are laughing at him because the dude's tall. The dude is really, really tall. But it's a good start so far with the Cabo's character, but here's the big but. I have to admit, and this has only been 2 episodes, I have to admit, although I think that Cabo's character is built fine, and I do like to have sort of a unique story told in a main character in the idea that this is a stutter. You don't typically have a main character that's dealing with a stutter and that being a strong component of their story. But I have to admit that I'm not really that interested in him as a character. I do, unfortunately, find Cabo to be kind of boring, and I don't know how that's going to really work for a story overall, as I don't really feel like I'm connecting to him too much. He's a very quiet guy, and that's a trait in its own right. But I did find that after 2 episodes, I didn't really find myself really drawn to him. I don't feel like I'm rooting for him or anything. I think it's more the fact that he's so self-focused, and that's not a bad thing, because he technically has a lot of things that he's dealing with from the get-go of the story starting. Again, anxiety around other people, and his own stuttering, which is pretty much causing that anxiety. I don't fault him for being self-focused, but I do think that's sort of contributing to the idea that I don't really care much for him. But we'll see. It's not that it's killing the show for me, but I think that is the main reason why overall I'm not like super invested in the show yet. Outside of Cabo, we obviously have Wanda, which it feels like the entire show is named after. Wandance, Wanda dancing, Wandance. Wanda is a dork. I do like Wanda's character so far. She's cute. She has a lot of draw to her. She does the goofy little things here and there, which are kind of off the wall, and I'm not sure exactly why she does it. Maybe she has some sort of tick, but every now and then he'll say something, and then she just makes a weird face. She looks at the flyer and alone, and suddenly she squinched her face at it like she's an old lady or something. She's got like this weird quirk about her that does make her kind of interesting and entertaining. And I have to admit that she kind of carries the show quite a bit because of how sort of quiet and not entertaining Cabo is as a character. But I will admit that the eyes, I'm so mixed on her eyes. It's not even funny. This girl just stands out way too much in the show. For some reason, they gave her a completely unique character design to anybody else in the show. And yes, that's probably to make her pop more, but in most cases, they kind of just keep it to the hair or something like that. This girl's eyeballs are so freaking big, and I like it, but I kind of don't like it. The reason why I don't like it is because it doesn't fit with anybody else. She looks like a literal alien amongst a crowd of humans because her eyeballs are so freaking huge. And I don't know why they chose to do that. I mean, I'm used to the idea that the males have much more scrunched down, smaller eyes, small irises and whatnot, and the females having larger ones. But this girl is like 50% bigger than everybody else. And so it's like, I can't get over that. I like it, but I don't like it. It's weird. Anyways, that aside, I do like her character. She's much more bubbly. She's much more driven to do this. And I like how she kind of just steps over there, helps out Cabo, kind of brings him up there, brings him to the fray, gives him that confidence that he needs. Every time it seems like he has a problem, she always seems to have the right words for him. Not that it seems like the writer is going out of the way to give her what she needs to be super cool, but it's more of the idea that she says something and it just kind of resonates with him. She says the right thing at the right time, but she's not really technically talking about that. And I do like that. I love her little quirkiness. Again, the whole, like, I used to do kung fu. Again, her stupid dorky faces all the time. She's cute. She's definitely cute. But I will say, I think, like, the MVP of the show so far is the club president. I think she's actually really cool. I think the way that she handles the club is actually phenomenal. Is a person that sees the group of people, you know, welcomes them into the group, doesn't try to force anybody to do anything that they want to do. Obviously acknowledges when people have faults or they're kind of building towards something, meddling a little bit with Wanda and Cabo that I really like. She's going to totally be that character that's off to the side and saying, this is super interesting. I knew this was going to be entertaining. Like, she's going to be puppeteering in the background to get Wanda and Cabo together. I think that she's great so far, saying the right things. Seems like she kind of leads the group properly. She's excellent. But that's all for me to say story-wise and what they presented so far. I am pretty much warm on the show. I don't think this is going to be a show that I'm going to be clamoring for on a weekly basis. It's got enough here to kind of keep it entertaining and interesting. But at the same time, I'm just missing a hook. I'm just really missing something that's grabbing me and saying, oh, I can't wait for the next episode, or I can't wait for what Cabo does next. That aside, though, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the visuals. Yes, I've always gotten a kick out of the fact that people believe that when they see Madhouse, they think art. Madhouse, everything that Madhouse touches is art. That's definitely not the case. I've seen plenty of Madhouse shows that are not great looking. I mean, just off the top of my head, Gene of AI. There's some shows that are in their B team or they take from the production committees that just doesn't have much of a budget or a scheduling that just doesn't turn out to be phenomenal looking. This show looks okay, though. Don't get me wrong here. But this is definitely their B team. This is not their, like, oh my gosh, Sakuga, Madhouse, A team, high budget, all the good animators, massive schedule given to it or anything like that. This seems like a pretty okay budget show. The biggest problem that I think most people have is in the CGI. Yes, the CGI performances are pretty dang bad. That's, of course, not being done by Madhouse. I was assuming, and it was confirmed by their X account, that this is Cyclone Graphics. A different team is working on the CGI performances themselves, and they're not good. I don't know who approved this and said, yeah, that looks good, but whoever did, find another job. Find another job. The dance capture itself is fine. Like, the choreography itself is fine. It's just taking that mocap or whatever and then translating it into a proper model is where things fall apart. The model itself just looks so unfinished and lacking any detail whatsoever. And what detail it has and frilliness to it and the hair and the clothing just looks super stiff. Wanda's dance itself is just, it's not unwatchable, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I think it's just one of those things for a lot of people, it's hard to stomach for something that has technically Madhouse's name on it, even though it's a different studio. In a year where we have things like Medalist that handled the CGI with that one phenomenally. You know, motion capturing of performance on ice in the way they did, and then taking that and putting it into a developed product at the end with detail and quality and perspective and everything. It's hard to stomach. And that sucks because it seems like based on the second episode, they're going to have more of that. And they're even reusing some of the animations that are not good and they're not improving on it at all. It's one of those ones where you come here for the story, you don't come here for the dance. You come to a dance anime for the story, not the dance. But anyways, that's my thoughts so far on Wandance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the first 2 episodes if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you like this content and want to support channel more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, y'all take care.